What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review, doing Mr. Miracle number 7 of 12. And this was a huge letdown. Anybody who follows me here or follows me on Twitter knows I rant and rave about this series. I think it's done really well. Tom King has a very distinct style that I think he brings to this, and it usually works out really well. This issue was a huge disappointment for me. And mainly because I can relate. Let me take that back. I should have been able to relate to this situation as a dad-to-be. I should have been able to read this book and go, man, I get it. But I read this book and I couldn't help but feel that Scott Free was the most worthless person in the world. He is the ultimate, like, hipster millennial dad of, like, oh shucks, like, I guess we're having a kid. Like, I feel he is so complacent in actually being a part of this birth and the beginning of this child's life. He does have, like, one moment where he does something, but other than that, it's just, I look at the situations that he goes through and I'm like, I would have done that different, I would have done that different, I would have done that different. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, not everything has to be, like, super hipstery. So let's start off. So at last issue, we found out that Barda was pregnant. So, and that Orion had been murdered. So this obviously jumps ahead the 9 months. Scott is now obviously the High Father, and Barda is about to deliver the baby. So they pull up to the hospital, and there's this little, kind of fun, like, funny gag about not being able to park here. So the guy's like, hey man, you can't park here. He's like, oh, well, they said there was a valet. And he's like, well, I am the valet. He's like, well, can you take my car? He's like, no, you got to go down to Olympic, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but you're a valet. Like, why can't you valet my car? He's like, nah, the parking lot's around the corner on Olympic. Right here, this is my first issue. When I took a tour, when me and my wife took a tour of a hospital, there's a drop-off area where you literally, like, pull your car up and it can sit there for, like, as long as it takes for you to get your lady into a wheelchair and get her inside and get her checked in, and then you can come back out and move your car off to the main parking deck. You know what? I don't know if every hospital's that way, but that's the way ours was. And so I looked at this and I was like, this guy's an idiot, and you're an idiot for not just hopping out of the car, rushing her into the hospital, and then coming back and taking care of the car. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to have your car towed. What's more important, your car being towed or your baby's health? Easy. The baby's health is always more important. So they go around the corner and pretty much make her walk from around the corner into the hospital. They would never make you do that. So they check her, they put a little heartbeat monitor on her, and this is what I got from, actually, I could relate to Scott, because he sits here, and just like any guy during birth, he's just chilling out. There's really, at this stage, I assume Barda's had an epidural, but I'm not positive, because she's not, like, in a super amount of pain. Who knows, she's just superhuman, baby. But all the guy can do is just sit there and wait. So I got that. And he's kind of dicking off on his phone when it's his mother box, but we'll say phone. And he's just waiting. Meanwhile, her family shows up, which, of course, they are on Darkseid's side. And so it's kind of a little awkward, because it's like, hey, I told them, I didn't want them here, but I'm leading a freaking rebellion against, or not a rebellion, a war against them, and they're on the other side. He's like, I guess I should go talk to him. Again, like, he's the ultimate, like, hipster dad. He's got the beard, he's got, like, I got a Superman shirt because it's ironic, because I know Superman. So he goes out and talks to her family. They're a bunch of loony bins because, again, they're from Apocalypse. They go back in, and it's funny because they keep trying to like come up with names, and he's coming up with names, and she's just shooting him down. Again, like just on his phone the whole time. I get at some point, but like you gotta engage a little bit, and you can kind of tell like her irritation through all of it. And then this is the part. This next page is where I kind of like became like, okay, so here's what I expect, like me and the story to be melded, and I've drifted away at this point here. And now after reading this page, like I was like, there's no plausible way this would ever happen. So the baby monitor stops beeping. If that were to happen, there wouldn't be this like, one, there would be doctors rushing in like immediately. But then like Scott does this like ultimate like beta move. He's like, the thing stopped beeping, like, should I get somebody? They'll come, right? Their machines are monitoring this machine, like, I'm gonna go get somebody. It's like, if that were to happen to me, the second that stopped beeping, I would be in the hall, like, looking for somebody. If they weren't already, like, barging in my room. Like, if the baby, like, again, the baby's heartbeat's, like, gone, you gotta get some help. And he's like, oh, I'm sure it's fine, like, and she's obviously worried, because, again, it stopped beeping. So then he's like, hey, the machine, like, stopped beeping. And so the nurse and the doctor kind of come in, they kind of shift her around, and they pick up the heartbeat again. And you can see that she's obviously distraught over it, because, again, like, you're about to give birth to a baby. You've listened to their heartbeat before, and now all of a sudden, like, it's gone. It'd probably be very traumatic. You can kind of see it where, like, they're both, like shaken up by it. She's obviously like, look, kind of like, oh my gosh, like, what would happen if I were to lose this baby right now? And Scott's kind of just like, oh, can I get you some ice? And she's like, yeah, I want some ice chips. And he's like, well, you want that? Yeah, okay, thanks. And it's like, she's obviously like, I don't even know. She's in her own thought, and Scott's just like, oh, like, okay, I'll get you some ice. So I think that's her mom. I don't know. I never followed New Gods, so a lot of the relations I'm not sure of. But she hands her this dagger, and it's like the Faran knife, which kills gods. She says, look, they're going to have to cut Barda. This is the only thing that will break her skin, because normal metal can't do that. She's like, but once this is all over and we're back to war, she's like, I'm going to use this same dagger to kill you. And he's like, all right, cool, thanks. And this is the next part where I completely detached. So she's at 9 centimeters. It's like go time, and she's pushing. Scott finally gets involved, grabbing a leg, which I know that'll probably happen. But the baby comes out with the umbilical cord around their neck. I'm pretty sure if the baby's heart stopped beating at any point, they would do an ultrasound. They would know that the umbilical cord was around the neck of the child before this even happened. So, and they would perform a C-section. I would have thought that would be more believable if that were to happen. And then they'd have to use that knife to give Barda a C-section. I would have 100% been on board with that. But so the baby comes out. It has the umbilical cord around its neck. They're trying to cut it. They can't cut it, so Scott grabs the knife and is able to cut the umbilical cord. So now follow this, because I'm about to show you something that DC's been doing lately, and it's been irritating the piss out of me. Again, you get some really good action. Wah! Okay, the baby's crying because Bendis is coming. A 2-page spread of this right in the middle of me wanting to know what is happening. The baby cries and Bendis is coming. Yeah, again, I did not like this. It was, again, Scott was the ultimate, like, hipster dad, like the millennial father. And I didn't care for it. But yeah, I'd still recommend the series. I'm hoping that the next issue will pick up a little bit, kind of where maybe 6 left off with him being the High Father now. But yeah, just awful. But subscribe over here, watch some more videos, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.